You don't repeat the same patterns because you're broken. You repeat the same patterns because the meaning that you gave a certain moment never changed. Now, see, meaning is optional. It's not a fact. A situation or a moment doesn't make you feel some type of way. It's the story that you attach to it that does. And that's why we tend to experience loops. We give everything in our lives a certain meaning, and that meaning creates a feeling inside of us. And that feeling that we get reflects in our behavior, how we react to things. So, for example, let's say that you get rejected from a job that you applied to, or maybe you get rejected from a person that you're interested in. And you take that rejection to mean that you're not good enough. So, that meaning of not being good enough, it's going to bring about a feeling inside of you. Perhaps, let's say, a feeling of anxiousness, because now that you got rejected, you don't feel worthy enough. And you want to know what to do next in order to feel worthy. So that feeling of anxiousness is going to drive your behavior. It's going to drive what you do next. Maybe let's say you have that person on social media. You're going to then start posting stuff on your account, or let's say on your story. And you're doing so from a place of you want to get that person's attention. You want to post something to see if they'll like it, or to see if they'll comment, or to see if they'll just look at it. All that is doing is that is your behavior in response to the meaning that you gave the rejection. And let's say the next time you're interested in someone new, this loop just repeats itself. But see, let's dissect what this loop actually is, because our brains like to filter things out. For example, our brain likes to omit information that it does not feel is relevant to us. So this can translate to, let's say that you're trying to get your life on track. Maybe you feel like something's been missing from your life. So you take advice from someone and they give you like this 5-step system to follow. And they say, follow this or implement this every single day for a certain amount of days. And I can guarantee you it's going to help you feel like your life is back on track again. So you take that advice and you're following the plan that they give you, the plan that helped them. But you realize that even though you're doing what they told you, it's not really working for you. You still feel like there's something missing. Your brain decided to delete any other possible ways that could be helpful for you, and it just kept that one plan or that one piece of advice right there in the forefront. And it was like, nope, let's delete everything else. And this plan is the only thing that's going to exist in the database. And we're going to follow it, and that's it. And that's why you feel like nothing's working, because you're doing everything that a certain person said worked for them, but perhaps what worked for them might not work for you. But you don't know that because your brain already deleted every other possibility for you. Or another way that your brain likes to filter things out is it'll twist what you experience. For example, let's say that you made a mistake at work. It's something that wasn't a big deal. It's easily fixable. But you making that mistake, your brain interprets that as, oh my gosh, this was a huge problem. But the mistake was already fixed and everyone else already forgot about it. But it's still in the back of your mind. So your brain starts to twist it into this exaggeration. And it's like, no, you messed up so bad. So now you start feeling like, oh my gosh, why can I never do anything right? Or why do I always mess everything up? And just because your brain puts that filter on and it twisted what happened into making it this huge exaggerated thing, even though it wasn't, you now lead with that filter and you're like, okay, I can't make a mistake. And if I do make a mistake, it's going to be the end of the world. But it's really not. And the last filter is your brain likes to create this set of rules or a generalized pattern. And this could play out like, let's say that you're getting to know someone and you let your guard down. You're like, I really like this person. Let me let my guard down a little bit. I'm going to be vulnerable. I really want to get to know them and I want them to get to know me. But when you let your guard down, this person ends up ghosting you. And so you're like, oh my God, like, why did that just happen? I thought things were going so well. I let my guard down. I was starting to feel safe and comfortable with this person. And then they just leave. Your brain is going to use that as a filter, as like this rule. If you meet someone new and you start to become vulnerable with that person, your brain is like, oh, remember when we're being vulnerable, the person is going to walk away. And then what happens? The person walks away. And then we're like, yeah, I knew that was going to happen. Well, yeah, because that's what your brain filtered for you. Your brain is expecting that to happen. It's anticipating that to happen. So then it happens. Now, see, this all ties together because the filters turn into a loop, and then the loop turns into who we essentially are. It turns into this language when we say things like, yeah, that always happens. I am so unlucky. How come bad things always happen to me? Why do I always mess things up? How come every time I'm vulnerable with someone, they walk away? And we start putting those languages or labels on ourselves. And that essentially embeds into our identity. In order to break the pattern, you essentially need to see things from a different lens. And all that really means is become observant of the meaning that you're placing on things. When you can become observant and you catch yourself, okay, what meaning am I giving this certain thing? And is the meaning that I'm giving this thing, is it favorable for me? Or is it something that I know is going to eventually cause a loop from happening that I don't want? Because when you're observant, you're able to start breaking that pattern immediately. So you're putting on a different lens. You're seeing things from a different pair of lenses. Or a metaphor that I always like to use is you're standing in a different pair of shoes. You only have two pairs of shoes. You have a pair that you're standing in now, let's say where you don't like the way that things are going, but then you have another pair that you can easily slip into where things are going favorably for you. So which pair do you want to be in? Because when you switch lenses or shoes, you end up responding differently to things in your life, and you allow yourself to have more favorable experiences when you no longer identify with old beliefs. So let's go back to the example of you're getting to know someone, and instead of seeing things from the lens of, okay, if this person rejects me, I'm gonna feel like I'm not good enough. Instead of replaying that loop over and over, you're going to now be looking through a lens of, I am always good enough, no matter what. You let yourself be vulnerable. You let this person into your life. You let them learn more about you. And you'll start to experience that people are going to be so grateful for that. They're going to love that you opened up, that you let them see your authenticity, that you let them see your personality, everything about you. And you're going to experience more connections that way, where people aren't going to reject you, where they're not going to walk away from you, because you no longer carry that meaning of, if I'm vulnerable, this person's going to walk away. That doesn't exist anymore. That's not part of your brain's filter anymore. Now what's part of your brain's filter is that when people meet you, they see your worth, they see your value. And even if they did reject you because they feel like you're not a match, you don't take that personally. You just know that it is what it is, and that's okay. But see, again, it goes back to, what lens are you viewing things from? What pair of shoes are you standing in? The loop is going to play out whether you're giving favorable meanings to something or not. So which loop do you want to happen? Remember, when the meaning or the story changes, the pattern ends. And when your identity shifts, your life shifts too.